and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, you're going to have my weekly reading vlog for the third week of May. In this week, I will be finishing out the weekend with Becca from Becca Books, her 48-hour Bookopolathon. So I'm really excited about that. I don't expect that I'll read a lot of books throughout the week. However, I do plan to dedicate a lot of time towards reading on the weekend. The great thing about this is, so with Bookopolathon, you don't know all the prompts, at least the 48-hour version. You don't know all the prompts. We know the first 2 rolls, and then every 4 hours there's going to be roll drops. But the great thing about that is I have a wide open TBR. Now, I had specific books on my list for the first 2 weeks of the month, and those were to finish series. But this week, I have opened it wide up to just about whatever I want to read. The 2 roll drops that we've had so far are A Small Book and Gods. The one book that I know that I'm going to read this weekend, and I'll finally cross off my list. It's a bit of a stretch to fit the Gods prompt, but it's about religion, and that is fundamentalism and American culture. This is probably the second oldest or the oldest on my Goodreads TBR, and it's been on a lot of my TBRs, and I'm going to get it off my TBR. The next thing, for Small Book, I have all of my graphic novels that I checked out from the library, plus several other graphic novels that I have requested. I don't know when to stop, but I also, and I don't know how well this will come across on camera, but this is my Kindle, and these are all of my arcs. So I have a lot of choice of what I am going to read. As far as small books, it's probably most definitely going to be one of my graphic novels, maybe this one. The great thing about having so many of these arcs that I want to get read, I want to get, my reviews up on NetGalley, my percentage back into line, is that I'll be able to find something probably to fit a prompt. I have pretty much everything there. This is as close as I get to being a mood reader. I love TBRs, I love lists. So that's my plan for this week. I'm probably going to read an arc or 2 throughout the week so that I can save this one for Bookopolathon and getting that done. I'm going to be working a lot more on using reading to de-stress from the day, because at the end of the year, and I keep saying this because there's just this time frame at the end of the year where the end is in sight, but there's so much to get there that just drives you bonkers. And thankfully we're done with state testing, and what we have going forward, because they're going to be doing a Create Your Own Country project, where they're going to be working in groups, and I'm not doing any quote-unquote active teaching. It's supposed to be putting into place all they've learned this year. Have they learned anything? I don't know. I hope so, because that's my job. The preparation ahead of time with all the material and things, that's already done. I got all that stuff. It's ready to go. I just have to manage and survive and get through these next 2.5 weeks. So we made it to Tuesday. Yeah, I'm just going to say that school life right now is let's survive the next however many days until the end of the year. Because children are little terrors. We won't go into that. What you're here for, though, because this is a reading vlog, is a reading update. And I realized that in the past few updates that I've given about the Live Ship Trader series, I'm currently reading Ship of Destiny. I realized in my updates that I have not talked about my change in opinion about Malta. I still stand by my opinion that Malta as a character in Ship of Magic, no. But so much happens to Malta towards the middle and end of Mad Ship. And it really shows believable, intense, significant character growth. It's gorgeous to see. It's phenomenal. It's not like it's obviously not a good thing that happened to her, because it's a Robin Hood book. Would it be a good thing that happened to her? When Brosnan brings in the news that the Vivacia's been taken by pirates, it sets Malta to thinking about her father. And is he going to come back? Is he going to save everything? And then even more, her attempts to get Selwyn Trell to help her, and what he does, she's like, well, he's pathetic and men just aren't worth anything, so I'm going to start taking the power for myself. She really starts to grow up. But then again, the age thing is still a significant problem for me. Not the fact that she's 13, because I think she's still 13 at this point, maybe almost 14. But the whole thing with her and Rain, it really bothers me, because Rain is supposed to be in his early 20s. And if they were a little bit older, like if Malta were 17 or 18 and he's in his late 20s at that point, then I'd be okay with it. And I would believe all these declarations of love and the relationship in general. But the fact that he's in his early 20s, and he's a man in his early 20s, who at a ball sees a girl who is then 12, falls head over heels for her, I got problems with that. I get, like, in those worlds, like, people grow up early, etc., etc. It just still bothers me. And I get that she's growing up and she's maturing and etc. That's the one hesitation that I see. But as a character, I really like Malta now. I never thought that I would say that, especially in Ship of Magic. Ugh, I never thought that I would say that I would like Malta. And I was thinking about this, thinking about all the different characters that I really like. There are so many amazing, strong, powerful women characters in here. I love Veronica. Kefra is starting to grow up, finally. I've always loved Althea. You've got the Vivacia. You've got Malta. You've got Amber. You've got several other characters who are just slipping my mind at the moment. But they're phenomenal. Oh, Cirilla. They're all flawed. All of them are flawed, but they are taking charge and they're moving through what is a man's world, even in this story. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous to see. Most of the male characters don't like them. I like Brosnan. I like Winthrop. Like I said, I don't really like Rain because of the whole age gap thing. At first, I didn't think I was going to love the series this much, and then it reals. Like, Robin Hobb has a way to create this intensely long, complicated, drawn-out story that just hooks you and does not let go. I love the Live Ship Trader series. I love it. Now, will I say that I like it more than the Farseer trilogy? I don't know. They're so different. I love both of them. So I can't wait to keep reading. Unfortunately, Hoopla does not have the other 2 Fitz series. It has the Rain Wild Chronicles, so I'll listen to the Rain Wild Chronicles on Hoopla, but I'm going to listen to the Tiny Man trilogy next. But I have to go to Scribd. The problem with Scribd is that it goes up to 2 times speed only. So it's going to take me longer to get through the Tiny Man trilogy because these books are really long. As far as the book that I'm reading, the next arc that I picked up is, it's not an arc anymore, I forget when it came out. It's one of my oldest requested arcs, and that is The School for Whatnots by Margaret Peterson Haddix. I have an interesting quote-unquote relationship with Margaret Peterson Haddix's books. I can see how they're really good, and I've really enjoyed the concept for a lot of them, but something always seems to be missing for me in her books. So far in this book, though, I really enjoy it. And it's this idea where the main character's parents are really rich, but the mom does not want him to grow up spoiled. And so there's this thing called whatnots that he can be raised with, where they're robots. They don't become friends with him just because he's spoiled or whatever. But the girl that he becomes friends with is a real girl pretending to be a whatnot. And then this girl has just found another one of those whatnots that's actually a real girl, so things are starting to unravel. I'm enjoying it. I'm intrigued to see how the story is going to unfold. As far as The Gates of Europe, I said I was going to read more on Sunday. I didn't read anymore. I probably will finish this today or tomorrow. I made significant progress yesterday, and it's reading a lot faster than the earlier chapters did. So hopefully I'll be able to finish that and move on to the next nonfiction book, which I'm going to read a little bit of Red Famine, then I'm going to pause for Bookopolathon this weekend, and then I'm going to read the one that fits that prompt that I talked about in the last clip. So this has been a really long, rambly clip, but like I love the Life Trigger series. What can I say? There's a lot to discuss, a lot of stuff building up for that. I finished my run and I've been sort of puttering around a little bit because I was going to do strength training, but the marathon's in 2 weeks. So I figured I'm not going to do this more intense strength training, like these 1 rep max practices. I'm not going to do that until after the marathon. So I'm going to, I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe get some more to-do list stuff. Maybe do some more reading. So we have reached the halfway point in the week. There are only 2 Wednesdays left. Yes. So there's about 11 days, 10 for me because I'm taking off next Friday to fly to Ottawa for the marathon. Woohoo! And that means 10 days. So after tomorrow, we'll be in single digits. This is turning into like these updates are both reading updates and countdown to the end of school updates. I actually have gotten a lot done and had only 1 mile to run today. So I've actually been done for a little while. Just wanted to chill, play some Pokemon, watch some Booktube, and now I'm going to read. Well, I'm probably going to watch some more Booktube because I need to put away my laundry and then I'll read. And I'm going to get more read today. I hope maybe to finish The Gates of Europe because I've gotten within 40 pages. I got only 10 pages or so in yesterday. And then even more time, hopefully, for Ship of Destiny because I am loving the story and I hate going to bed because that means I have to stop reading. The bookworm's dilemma there. So we have made it to the end of the week. I had a day. The vast majority of the day was fine. One of my class periods, things just they kind of fell apart. The kids are bringing out every misbehavior tool in their arsenal. At least certain kids, especially in that class. I'm done with you guys. Just quit it. So it fills my mind and it's just exhausting. But I got my run in. That felt really good to get the run in, to be able to like just shift to watching Booktube and take my mind off the other things. Because I did talk with my team lead for a while. She's become a good friend, which I love because 2 years ago I taught her son. And we're actually about to start Bookopolathon. I'm ready. I want some books. I am going to tune out everything else except for my second to last long run of this marathon cycle. It's going to be about the books. And I am loving it. I'm really excited. Really looking forward to all the reads that I'm hopefully going to get in. Now, speaking of reads that I got in, Wednesday, I actually finished Gates of Europe. It read a lot quicker towards the end, like I thought. I haven't put it through compile, so I don't know how I feel about it. I think it did a really good job as a history once it got going, around halfway. I think it probably did well in the earlier bits. I don't know that I was in the right headspace to read it earlier. I don't know what was going on, but it was really slow at the beginning, and I don't know a lot about that area, so that probably played into it. So we'll see what my rating is. I'll probably give it maybe in my wrap-up. And then since it took me longer, my mom said that are doing yard work, but since it took me longer to get Gates of Europe read, I decided not to start Red Famine because all I would have had would have been last night. So instead, I picked up another one of my Doctor Who graphic novel or comic bind-ups, and I really wanted to love this one. I liked it, but I wanted to love this one because he's my favorite Doctor. He's going to be on the next season with Donna. So excited about that. The problem with the ones that I have gotten from the library is they are not, I'm going to put it down because it's reflecting. The problem with the ones from the library is that they're not in order. And so this is actually volume 2 or something, and it's continuing on from a really complicated story. I had that working against me. There are different companions in the comics than in the book, in the movie, in the TV show. He's coming down this way. I'm going to film the rest of it. Okay, so they finished outside, and I'm going to pick back up about Doctor Who. So the problem for me was that I had to try to figure out what went on in the previous story and the previous companions. So that was a little bit of difficulty, but I eventually got into it. It also wasn't the most straightforward Doctor Who plot. There was a lot of like Egyptian mythology mixed in, which made it a little weird. I enjoyed it. And then we get to the second volume in here, second comic, and the art style shifts completely. It becomes way more cartoonish. It completely shifts in tone. I think it doesn't connect to the previous one at all because one of the companions is not there and is not mentioned. I really enjoyed that story, but it was just jarring for there not to be connection and for the art style to change so much. And the second one was not my favorite art style, but overall, finished it. Enjoyed it not as much as the first one of these volumes that I read, but I still want to collect them all. Another book that I finished that I talked about briefly was Margaret Peterson Had X to School for Whatnots. I ended up enjoying that one a lot more than I have some of her other books. A lot of her books are hit or miss for me, and the misses are not like full misses, they're just a little off, not my type. I enjoyed this one. The one thing that I didn't really think was like believable at all were, so the Whatnots are these robots, and there's different versions of these robots, and one of the versions that gets introduced later are the bullies. And all that the bullies did was like verbal things and taunts and whatever. And yes, that's what a lot of bullies do, but a lot of the impact for that comes with the relationship. And these are just robots sent in at the end. That's the only thing I didn't really like. Overall, this was a quick, engaging read, definitely for younger middle grade. And then I picked up and have almost finished, but not quite, Crazy Poughkeepsie. I'm not too fond of that name. The writing style both intrigues and perplexes me. It's quirky and a really odd style, and a lot of the characters are very weird. And I'm having trouble seeing the overall direction of the plot and it not just being a series of stories. It's not bad. It's just not great either. So Bookopolathon has started. I am probably going to focus on shorter reads, and I don't know if my brain is going to be in the space for what I had planned for the Gods prompt, so I may just read the Percy Jackson series, and that would cross off both of them. I may try it, but not tonight. I would definitely start that tomorrow, and I hope to update more frequently tomorrow. So it's only 10:30 on Saturday morning. Mom had an event at church, so we had to start really early, and I love being done with that this early. I've been done for an hour and a half so far, basically. Last night, for the first book of the Bookopolathon, I read the third of the Doctor Who comic bind-ups that I got from the library, and I loved it. I loved it. It fit. He's not my favorite Doctor, but he's still a great Doctor. But the story, it fit. It really fit this Doctor. All the things that he was doing, it was so definitely him. Really enjoyed it. This morning I finished Crazy Poughkeepsie. Strange book. Really weird, aimless, didn't really go anywhere, had some problematic things in it that I'll talk more about in the wrap-up. Haven't put it through compile yet, but not a huge fan. And then we got the next roll drops this morning, which are ebook and audiobook, or format that you don't read a lot of, and a book with color in the title. Okay, so I was trying to finish that up because the battery was blinking and it cut off. I didn't have as much time left as I thought. I was going to read one of the ebooks that I had, because it had color in the title, but it was another nonfiction and I wasn't as into that, and so I went over to look at the books that I got from the library to see if any of those would fit, and I just happened to pick this one up because someone like a booktuber I follow had talked about this. I don't even know when, because I have a list of videos that I catch up on that were from months ago, but they talked about P.J. Clark, talked really good, like they hyped this book up as well, and when I went to the library to pick up some of my holds, I saw this on one of the shelves that was set up. I don't even know what the shelf was, what the display was going for, but I'm like, hey, I'll give it a try. And so I'm like, oh, Black Ops Strong, there is color in the title, and this is a format that I don't really read at all, which is short fiction. This is definitely a novella. It's 112 pages, and it's not a genre that I really read. And not one that I thought that I would like, but I have liked steampunk. So this book has steampunk vibes, it has alternate history, and Afrofuturism. It's set in 1884, but the Civil War has not ended. There's a ceasefire that's going on, so like there's hostility, but there's not active fighting. There's guerrilla warfare and a lot of that stuff. But there's also like mixes of, again, shining light, put it down. There's also mixes of bringing in like African culture, and it's really hard to describe, but I'm really enjoying it. It's obviously going to be a quick read at page 70 out of 112, so I'm going to finish it in the next sprints. I'm loving that I picked that one up, and I'm going to count it for both prompts, even though specifically the one prompt says ebook or audiobook, but it also says for a format that you don't read a lot, and I don't read short fiction a lot. I'm glad that I picked that up on a whim from the library, and I'm reading it, and I will probably finish this before the next sprint's end. And if I do, I'll pick this one up again. I started it. It's very academic. I'm probably going to read it throughout the day. If I don't finish it, then I'm going to pick up a Percy Jackson graphic novel and read that and count that. So next sprint's about to start. I will check in later. Okay, so we're about halfway through Saturday, I guess. I don't actually know what time it is because I took my watch off. I have been all about the reading and chilling today, and I made a slight change in the book that I'm going to read for the Gods prompt. While I'm still reading fundamentalism and American culture, it was taking me a lot longer to read because it is pretty dense. I'm going to all talk about it in just a second. So I have decided to pick up Percy Jackson, book 1, graphic novel form. I'm about 35-40% of the way through that one. So a little bit about this one. I really enjoy the tone of this book. I think it handles all of these different topics objectively. There's been a lot of circling around different segments of time, and it's moving closer and closer to the bulk of the 20th century, which I thought it would focus on more. I will say that to get the full extent of this book, you need to be familiar with the topics discussed in there and a lot of the different terminology. And growing up in conservatism, in fundamentalism, I'm familiar with those topics. Someone, I think, just coming into it from an outside perspective wouldn't necessarily understand that, and it could get confusing. But I appreciate that the author doesn't spend a lot of time discussing what all of these different terms mean, and it is instead analyzing not the different doctrines themselves that he discusses, but how that has interacted with American culture. I'm glad I finally picked this up. It's just reading a lot slower than I wanted. I want to get a lot of pages read today, so I'm going to come back to this later. I am having a lot of fun. I set a tentative goal of trying to read 1,000 pages today. Probably won't get to that. So minimum 600. So I'm going to go read some more. So I updated earlier, and it was about 2:30. Well, I was right, about halfway through the day. It is now just after 5. Just finished a sprint. I have read several things. Trying to remember the last thing I read for this update. I think, and I put it back there already, it was the first of the Miles Morales graphic novels, and it was right. I had read another Miles Morales book written by Jason Reynolds, but it was a novel. It was a YA novel. This was a middle grades graphic novel, and I loved it. I loved Jason Reynolds' writing. I loved the art style. Cute, episodic. I'm already eagerly anticipating the next book, which is coming out in October. And then I read Mighty Jack and the Goblin King. I read the first of these a few years back. I think it was the first year I did the SCASL Awards because this was on that list. And this one came out in 2017. So I think the first year that I did it was 2017. And they usually choose from the years back. So that would make sense. And I really enjoyed this as well. Now, I've forgotten a lot of the details from the first book because I think this one picks up right after. And it's a take on Jack and the Beanstalk. Also Jack and Jill, because I think her name is Jill. So there's Jack and his sister Maddie. And I'm pretty sure his sister Maddie has some form of autism. They have a single mom. It's just adorable. An adorable series of adventures. Thought it was great. Currently, I am reading Operation Do-Over by Gordon Corman, and really enjoying it. I think, I'm just in the beginning part. I'm only about 20% through, so I'm really enjoying it. I'm reading a lot of short, fairly easy books. I thought about getting back to that nonfiction, which is good. It's just dense, and dense is not what I want today, so maybe I'll pick it up tomorrow. I don't know. But I did cross the 800 page mark for the day. Yeah, granted, about 400, maybe 500 of those pages were graphic novel. Maybe 400. It's totally okay. So I think I will be able to get to 1,000 today, and I'm really excited about that. So I realized that I forgot to do this in the last, still the same spot, a little bit later. I got some books, and I meant to unbag them while I was at it. So I have my teeny tiny cross-stitching scissors. These are graphic novels, primarily, or comic bind-ups, so I'm really excited about those. So let's see what we have here. So we have the first Persepolis book, which I have read, Doctor Who. They're probably not going to match, but I got them off thrift books. Another Doctor Who. Obviously, I will have to take all of the stickers off, and the duplicate Doctor Who, I probably will give this one away depending on whether I want the hardback or the paperback. This is the one that I accidentally purchased without realizing that I purchased the other one from my school library sale. Another Doctor Who with David Tennant looking particularly dashing. And that's box 2. Bag 2. More Doctor Who. So most of these are going to be Doctor Who. Doctor Who. I got pretty much all of them. Another Doctor Who. This, I haven't read any 11th Doctor ones yet. Okay, here's a Percy Jackson one. So I did this library book back. Doctor Who. Doctor Who. With the fez. Doctor Who. I did just read this one. Not my favorite, but I want to collect them all. I'm a collector. And then 2 more Doctor Who, and I have read this one. So all in all, pretty real, and I'm excited, and so it's starting again. So we made it to Sunday morning. I slept in a little bit. This one just didn't feel like getting up right away. So I read only a little bit. The third roll drops were, I watched those last night. They were on Gavin's channel, and they are, I was really bummed by the first one that was spooky, and then the other one is YA. I wondered if I would have a book to fit the spooky prompt, and it just so happens that with the wide number of arcs that I have, wow, I look very tired. I promise I'm awake. But anyway, it just so happens that with the large number of arcs that I have a quote-unquote spooky book, which is the sequel to Night Books, and this one is Grave Books. I wasn't the biggest fan of Night Books. I thought it was well written, so that's why I requested the sequel, Grave Books. So my 45 arcs, they came in handy. I had to figure out what I'm going to do for YA. I might read another one that's off of my physical TBR, or I might just pick one of the YA that's one of the arcs. We shall see. The next roll drops are about to happen. I'm like, well, so yeah, I haven't finished those 2 yet. So we have made it to the end of the vlog. I'm wrapping this up a lot later than I normally do for the weekly vlogs, but the 48-hour Bookopolathon has just ended, and instead of holding up all the books that I've read, I've made a spread in my reading journal with all of the books. So I love, now that I have my color printer and my Cricut machine, making these book stickers, but these are all of the books that I got to this weekend. I will say I'm 65% of the way through this one, and then I'm 64% of the way through that one. I set that one aside when the new prompts came out, so I will finish this one probably tomorrow, and that one maybe the day after, but I didn't quite finish all of those. I think I did pretty good. So for the prompts, we had short book, which I counted this one as the short book. I think it's only 200 pages or 190 or something like that. We had Gods, which I started American Fundamentalism and then ended up not continuing that because it was reading so slowly. And for that one, I read the first Percy Jackson book. Then we had ebook, audiobook, or a genre you don't read very often, plus color in the title, and I did the Black Gods Drums. Although a lot of people were doing just ebook or audiobook, so I could count this one. So I have that one for that prompt. And then we had Spooky, which I did gray books for, and YA, which this one is going to be for. That's one of the 8 prompts that I didn't quite finish. And then this morning we had blue water on the cover, which definitely water on the cover here, or blue, and feed scroll. And I did Cast by Isabel Wilkerson. It just didn't fit on the rows here. This is what I got read this weekend. I totaled it all up. I'm at nearly 2,000 pages, and I still haven't, done my cross stitching and stuff for the evening. So I'm definitely going to be around 2,400 pages in 2 days. I read a lot this weekend, and earlier on in the week I read a few other short things, which you've already seen. I think this was a really successful reading vlog. Next week is going to be a little different because I'm running the marathon at the end of the week, so there will hopefully be B-roll from Ottawa in there. We shall see. Thanks so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one.